garnered a lot of controversy. Command & Conquer Generals was the 7th game in the series and was released in 2013, a mostly positive reception. One aspect of the game, however, got the game banned in Germany and got a ton of controversy in the States. While playing, you are given the option to send suicide bombers out into the battlefield to destroy objectives. I remember this. As you can imagine, this was definitely not the best design decision in the early 2000s or even today, as it took something very serious and scary and turned it into a simple game mechanic. EA remade the game for a German release where the suicide bombers were replaced with rolling robots, but the US version definitely took some heat. At number 6, there's not a lot we can say about this. This goes on every negative attention top 10 we do. Rayplay. It's a game where you play as a dude who stalks, takes pictures, and tries to attack women. It's gross, it's juvenile, it's unnecessary, and I really wouldn't want to meet the guy who actually came up with this game or the people who approved it to go on the shelves. I didn't even know this was a game before doing research for this video. At number 5, JFK Reloaded. While a historically accurate game can offer some interesting experiences and get the player interested in learning about the period in which the game was based on, some take it too far. There are some parts of history you shouldn't make a game out of. Enter JFK Reloaded. You guys can guess. Released in 2004, the game puts you in the shoes of Lee Harvey Oswald as you fire at President John F. Kennedy as he drives by. The game awards you points for making the assassination as historically accurate as possible, tasking you with finding the right angle, the direction, and everything on which to fire upon the president with. The game was attacked by the U.S. Senate upon release, with Senator Ted Kennedy, JFK's brother, calling it despicable. And I mean, the developers tried to defend their game by saying it was obviously aimed at adults and that kids wouldn't be playing it. Yeah, right. But I'm not really sure how that helps their case. There are certain things you just shouldn't turn into a video game, and this is one of them. At number 4, we have Custer's Revenge. And speaking of historical events you shouldn't turn into a video game, here we go. Released all the way back in 1982 for the Atari 2600. This game had you take control of General George Armstrong Custer as you avoid arrows and attackers in order to go attack Native American women who are tied to poles. I'm serious. That's what you do in this game. It's woo! The game was slapped with a not for sale to minors on the box art, but that doesn't exactly make things better, as it's still a game about attacking Native American women. It also didn't help the developer's case, where the lead designer stated in an interview that Custer was seducing the women and that they were having... yeah, you guys can paint the picture. It was plainly false, and the women in the game are clearly tied up and being attacked. Custer's Revenge has gone down in gaming history as one of the worst and most disgusting games ever released. At number 3, we have Medal of Honor, and EA just has... they get into a lot of hot water. In 2010, their long-running FPS series got a makeover in order to keep up with modern military trends set by Call of Duty and Battlefield. Previously a World War II themed series, the 2010 reboot of Medal of Honor brought the franchise into the modern setting and had a serious tone throughout the single-player campaign. Much like its competitors, Medal of Honor had a very fast-paced multiplayer, but there was one aspect that definitely did not do it any favors. I'm sure you guys are all aware, but when playing online, the game assigns you to a team before the match starts. In Halo, it's red or blue. In most World War II games, it's Axis versus Allies. And in the 2010 Medal of Honor, it was US versus the Taliban. Yep. One of the multiplayer teams in the game is the Taliban. Keep in mind the game was released in 2010 when the real-world Taliban was in power, making this design choice very controversial and not in a good way. The game was heavily criticized for a choice to force players to control the Taliban in a video game during a time that the real-world Taliban was committing real-world murders and atrocities, making Medal of Honor feel very tasteless and disrespectful to the conflict going on in the Middle East. The developers did their best to defend their decision to include the Taliban in multiplayer, but eventually issued a patch that removed it and replaced it simply with the term the opposing force. And number 2, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, one of the best-selling and most expensive games of all time. MW2 was released in 2009 to critical acclaim for both its emotional-driven and engaging story, as well as its over-the-top and insanely addicting multiplayer. But you know Call of Duty, you know which part we're talking about here. There's a segment in the story famously known as No Russian, where the player takes control of an undercover agent who is posing as a member of a terrorist organization in order to gain information on the game's antagonist, Makarov. You're led through an airport as the rest of the groups gun down hundreds of innocent civilians, and you're given the choice to join in should you want to. While this segment is totally skippable and it's very important to the plot of the game, tons of people were outraged at a video game allowing you to play as a terrorist and perform a very realistic atrocity, with some of the news outlets calling the game a terrorist fantasy game. The segment stirred up controversy. Modern Warfare 2 is still one of the best reviewed games to this day and one of the most important first-person shooters ever released. You guys already guessed what was at number 1, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's a formality. Mortal Kombat. And if you didn't think it was going to be my number 1, you probably don't know me very well. MK first hit the arcades in 1992 and featured real-life actors as character models, dark environments, bloody combat, and absolutely gruesome finishing moves. None of this had ever been seen in gaming, and the world was divided. On one hand, you had people who loved it and were psyched to see the technical advancements in the game, and on the other hand, you had people who were outraged that such graphic violence was allowed in a public arcade, and it would truly corrupt the youth of the world. Countless court cases were held in response to MK's popularity and ultimately ended in the creation of the ESRB rating, an organization dedicated to letting parents know what and what is not appropriate for their kids to play. And if you ever wondered where the debate started, look no further than Mortal Kombat back in '92. And there you have it, my friends. Those are 10 video games that crossed the line and in some form or fashion paid the price for it. Let us know where we got it right, where we got it wrong. There is a playlist below with all the other top 10s that go up on the channel. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow night for a new one. Twitch is an amazing platform, but with a platform as huge and ever growing as Twitch is, it is no surprise that they take extra precautions to make sure that certain games aren't played or promoted on their platform. But some of these are just, well, we'll get into it. What's up, guys? Jimmy here. Welcome to Chaos Top 10s, and today we are going to be counting down the top 10 video games that you are not allowed to play at all on Twitch. You're not allowed to play or stream, and I want you to keep in mind these games are banned for a reason, so viewer discretion is heavily advised. Before we get into it, I'm running a $200 Amazon gift card the entire month of be some censor areas in here. And at number 10 we have Suck My or Die, and
What? The fuck? Shot that guy like 30 times.